video will be really short because we're just talking about the pill, which is, as you know, no big deal. Everyone's on it.
Yeah, it's such low levels of hormones, it's not really a thing you have to think about. Just an easy way to not get pregnant or get your mood under control or fix things like acne.
Yeah, I mean, my primary care doctor easily gave it to me when I was 14. No questions asked and no discussion, so it must be super safe.
Yeah, especially since you can easily get on it when you're so young and just stay on it. No thoughts, no questions. It must be totally fine.
Yikes! We've done our research and you're about to be floored by the catastrophic effects even low-dose birth control can have on the female body. Permanently.
Now, we're not doctors. We're not going to tell you what to do because we believe it's your body, your choice. We're just delivering some information. Sadly, we know you were not given all of this information if and when you decided to get on the pill. And that is fucked up and wrong. You deserve to have all the information when making such important decisions. So the following is actual, factual science. Do with it what you will.
A couple fun facts. You don't need to memorize all of this, just let it wash over you.
It's a lot. Here we go. Oral contraceptives, or birth control pills, have been prescribed to women since the 1950s. And today, over 100 million women use birth control. On one hand, they allow women the freedom of reproductive choice. However, it isn't without its downsides, which, since their introduction almost 70 years ago, is often not fully disclosed to women by the doctor prescribing. We know women were taking the power back with finding agency over their bodies in the beginning of birth control. But that's not necessary anymore, and it's time to shift the responsibility of birth control either to men or to natural methods.
The pull-out method, when performed correctly, is up to 96% effective, according to Planned Parenthood. Not bad considering you don't have to damage your body for years. Or condoms. Or vasectomies.
The risk of ovarian and breast cancer is double if you've taken the pill under the age of 20.
The pill lowers your levels of folic acid, zinc, and selenium. So if you're wanting to get pregnant, those are really important for growing a fetus, which is why some women have trouble getting pregnant after being on the pill for many years.
All and any form of birth control is a synthetic hormone.
The most common birth control pills contain two synthetic hormones: ethinyl estradiol, a synthetic estrogen, and progestin, a synthetic form of progesterone. The mini pill contains only progestin. So to clarify, these are not the same as the hormones estrogen and progesterone that our bodies produce naturally. They're not. Furthermore, these synthetic hormones prevent the natural release of the hormone messengers from the brain, the hypothalamus and pituitary, that signal the ovaries to ovulate, thus preventing pregnancy. And all of that prevents the production of actual estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone by the body. Birth control pills essentially shut down the cyclical hormonal cycle.
Typically, women take hormone-containing pills for the first 21 days and then take sugar pills for the remaining week where they will bleed, giving the illusion of a period. To be very clear, this is not a period. It is a pill bleed caused by the sudden withdrawal of synthetic hormones.
Your bleed on the pill is actually called withdrawal bleeding and is not the same as a natural period bleed. No, the bleeding you get when you're on the pill is not a menstrual period. Your period on the pill is technically called withdrawal bleeding, referring to the withdrawal of hormones in your pill and in your body. So you can kind of think of this as an injury bleed, not a menstrual bleed. Yikes!
The drop in hormone levels causes the lining of your uterus, the endometrium, to shed. This bleeding may be slightly different than a period you had before taking the pill. It also may change over time while taking the pill.
You're more likely to have PMS symptoms when you come off of the pill. So as you know, we don't like to call PMS a syndrome, it's just your premenstrual phase. But if you have been on the pill in the past, your premenstrual phase is likely more difficult. Let's talk about side effects. There's a lot.
Hormonal birth control pills have an array of side effects, from increased risk of blood clots to headaches to weight gain to mood changes.
And the side effects are due to those two synthetic hormones we mentioned, ethinyl estradiol and progestins. Birth control pills create side effects for two reasons.
One, the impact of the synthetic hormones themselves.
And 2, the deprivation of natural estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, and DHEA. Oh, oops, that's fine. Let me do that again.
Story time, kids.
Let's learn about Vanessa's birth control. Highly effective, prevents pregnancy for up to 3 years, over 99% effective without a daily hassle. Nexplanon must be removed by the end of the 3rd year. Nexplanon, estrogen, implant 68 milligrams is a prescription medication for the prevention of pregnancy in women. A small discrete arm implant takes a few minutes to insert in the doctor's office. If plans change, it can be removed at any time by a doctor. Less than 1 pregnancy per 100 women who use Nexplanon per year. Important safety information. You should not use Nexplanon if you are pregnant or think you may be pregnant, have or have blood clots, have liver disease or liver tumor, have unexplained vaginal bleeding, have breast cancer or any other cancer that is sensitive to progesterone, female hormone, now or in the past, or allergic to anything in Nexplanon. Talk to your healthcare provider about using Nexplanon if you have diabetes, high cholesterol, triglycerides, headaches, gallbladder, or kidney problems, history of depression, mood, high blood pressure, allergy to known medications, anesthetics or medicines used to clean your skin. Antiseptics. These medicines will be used when the implant is placed into or removed from your arm. Immediately after Nexplanon implant is replaced, you and your healthcare provider should check that the implant is in your arm by feeling for it. If you cannot feel the Nexplanon implant, contact your healthcare provider immediately and use a non-hormonal birth control methods such as condoms until your healthcare provider confirms that the implant is in place. You may need special tests to check that the implant is in place or to help find the implant when the implant is in place. When it's time to take it out, the implant may not be placed in your arm at all due to failed insertion. If this happens, you may become pregnant. Removal of the implant may be very difficult or impossible if the implant is not where it should be. Special procedures, including surgery in the hospital, may be needed to remove the implant. If the implant is not removed, then the side effects of Nexplanon will continue for a longer period of time. Other problems related to the insertion or removal include pain, irritation, swelling, bruising, scarring, infection, injury to the nerves or blood vessels, and breaking of the implant. Additionally, the implant may come out by itself. You may become pregnant if the implant comes out by itself. Use a backup birth control method and call your healthcare provider right away if the implant comes out. Most common side effects of Nexplanon is a change in your normal menstrual bleeding pattern. In studies, 1 out of 10 women stopped using the implant because of an unfavorable change in their bleeding pattern. 1 out of 10. You may experience longer or shorter bleeding during your periods or have no bleeding at all. The time between periods may vary, and in between periods you may also have spotting. If you become pregnant while using Nexplanon, you have a slightly higher chance that the pregnancy will be ectopic, occurring outside the womb, than do women who do not use birth control. Ectopic pregnancies can cause serious internal bleeding, infertility, and even death. Call your healthcare provider right away if you think you are pregnant or have unexplained lower stomach abdominal pain. The use of Nexplanon may also increase your chance of serious blood clots, especially if you have other risk factors such as smoking. If you smoke and want to use Nexplanon, you should quit. Some examples of blood clots are deep vein thrombosis, legs, pulmonary embolism, lungs, retinal thrombosis, eyes, stroke, brain, and heart attack, heart. It is possible to die from a problem caused by a blood clot such as a heart attack or stroke. Tell your doctor at least 4 weeks before if you are going to have surgery or will need to be on a bed rest, because you have an increased chance of getting blood clots during surgery or bed rest. Cysts may develop on the ovaries and usually go away without treatment, but sometimes surgery is needed to remove them. Besides changes in the menstrual bleeding patterns, other common side effects reported in women using Nexplanon include headaches, vaginitis, inflammation of the vagina, weight gain, acne, breast pain, viral infections such as sore throats or flu-like symptoms, stomach pain, painful periods, mood swings, nervousness, or depressed mood, back pain, nausea, dizziness, pain at the site of insertion. Implants have been reported to be found in blood vessels, including a blood vessel in the lung. Call your healthcare provider right away if you have pain in your lower leg that does not go away. Severe chest pain or heaviness in the chest, sudden shortness of breath, sharp chest pain or coughing blood, symptoms of a severe allergic reaction such as swollen face, tongue, or throat, trouble breathing or swallowing, sudden severe headaches, unlike your usual headaches, weakness or numbness in your arm, leg, or trouble speaking, sudden or partial complete blindness, yellowing of your skin or whites of your eyes, especially with fever, tiredness, loss of appetite, dark colored urine, or light colored bowel movement, severe pain, swelling, or tenderness in the lower stomach, abdomen, lump in your breast, problems sleeping, lack of energy, tiredness, or you feel very sad, heavy menstrual bleeding, or if you feel that the implant may have broken or bent while in your arm. Nexplanon does not protect against HIV or STDs. You are encouraged to report negative side effects of your prescription drugs to the FDA. Please read the adjacent patient brief summary for Nexplanon and discuss it with your doctor. We'll go back to that.
Here we go.
Nexplanon does not protect against HIV infection, the virus that causes AIDS, or other sexually transmitted diseases. Read this patient brief summary before carefully deciding if Nexplanon is right for you. This information does not take the place of talking with your healthcare provider. If you have any questions about Nexplanon, ask your healthcare provider. What is Nexplanon? Nexplanon is a hormone-releasing birth control implant used by women to prevent pregnancy for up to 3 years. The implant is flexible plastic rod about the size of a matchstick that contains a progestin hormone called estrogen and gestol. It contains a small amount of barium sulfate so that the implant can be seen by X-rays, and may also include magnesium stearate. Your healthcare provider will insert the implant just under your skin of the inner side of your upper arm. You can use a single Nexplanon implant for up to 3 years. Nexplanon does not contain estrogen. What if I need birth control for more than 3 years? The Nexplanon implant must be removed after 3 years. Your healthcare provider can insert a new implant under your skin after taking out the old one if you choose to continue using Nexplanon for birth control. What if I change my mind about birth control and want to stop using Nexplanon before 3 years? Your healthcare provider can remove the implant at any time. You may become pregnant as early as the first week after removal of the implant. If you do not want to get pregnant after your healthcare provider removes the Nexplanon implant, you should start another birth control method right away. How does Nexplanon work? Nexplanon prevents pregnancy in several ways. The most important way is by stopping the release of an egg from your ovary. Nexplanon also thickens the mucus of your cervix, and this change may keep sperm from reaching the egg. Nexplanon also changes the lining of your uterus. How well does Nexplanon work? When Nexplanon implant is placed directly, your chance of getting pregnant is very low. Less than 1 pregnancy per 100 women who use Nexplanon for 1 year. It is not known if Nexplanon is as effective in very overweight women because studies have not included overweight women. Who should not use Nexplanon? Do not use Nexplanon if you are pregnant or think you may be pregnant, have or had blood clots such as blood clots in your legs, deep vein thrombosis, lungs, pulmonary embolism, eyes, total or partial blindness, heart attack, or brain stroke, have liver disease or liver tumor, have unexplained vaginal bleeding, have breast cancer, or any other cancer that is sensitive to progestin, a female hormone, now or in the past, are allergic to anything Nexplanon. Tell your healthcare provider if you have or have had any of the conditions listed above. Your healthcare provider can suggest a different method of birth control. In addition, talk to your healthcare provider about using Nexplanon if you have diabetes, have high cholesterol or triglycerides, have headaches, have gallbladder or kidney problems, have history of depressed mood, have high blood pressure, have an allergy to numbing medicines, anesthetics, or medicines used to clean your skin, antiseptics. These medicines will be used when the implant is placed into your arm or removed from your arm. Interaction with other medicines. Tell your healthcare provider about all medicines you take, including prescription and non-prescription medicines, vitamins, herbal supplements, certain medications, including Nexplanon, may make Nexplanon less effective, including amphotericin, barbiturates, fluoxetine, carbamazepine, felbamine, brisavolvin, oxybenzepine, fentanyl, rifamine, St. John's wort, terpurmiate, HIV medications, hepatitis C virus medicines. Ask your healthcare provider if you're not sure if your medicines are listed above. If you're taking medicines or herbal products that might make Nexplanon less effective, you and your doctor may decide to leave Nexplanon in place. In that case, an additional non-hormonal contraceptive should be used because the effect of another medicine on Nexplanon may last up to 20 days after stopping medication. It is necessary to use the additional non-hormonal contraceptive for that long. When you are using Nexplanon, tell your healthcare provider that you have Nexplanon placed in your arm. How is Nexplanon implant placed and removed? Your healthcare provider will place and remove the Nexplanon implant in a minor surgical procedure in his or her office. The implant is placed just under the skin of the inner side of your upper arm. The timing of insertion is important. Your healthcare provider may perform a pregnancy test before inserting Nexplanon. Schedule the insertion at a specific time of your menstrual cycle. For example, within the first 5 days of your regular menstrual bleeding. If the implant is placed after the 5th day of menses, then you should use an additional contraceptive method such as a condom for 7 days after insertion. Your healthcare provider will cover the site where Nexplanon was placed with 2 bandages. Leave the top bandage on for 24 hours. Keep the smaller bandage clean, dry, and in place for 3 to 5 days. Immediately after the Nexplanon implant has been placed, you and your healthcare provider should check that the implant is in your arm by feeling for it. If you cannot feel the implant immediately after insertion, the implant may not have been inserted, or it may have been inserted deeply. A deep insertion may cause problems with locating and removing the implant. Once the healthcare professional has located the implant, it should be removed. If at any time you cannot feel the Nexplanon implant, contact your healthcare provider immediately and use a non-hormonal birth control method such as condoms until your healthcare provider removes the implant in place. You may need special tests to check that the implant is in place or help find the implant when it's time to take it out. If the implant cannot be found in the arm after a thorough search, your healthcare professional may use X-rays or other imaging methods on your chest. Depending on the exact position of the implant, removal may be difficult and may require surgery. You will be asked to review and sign a consent form prior to inserting the Nexplanon implant. You will also get a user card to keep at home with your health records. Your healthcare provider will fill out the user card with the date that the implant was inserted and the date the implant is to be removed. Keep track of the date of the implant to be removed. Schedule an appointment with your healthcare provider to remove the implant on or before the removal date. Be sure to have checkups advised by your healthcare provider. What are the most common side effects that we expect while on masculine? Changes in menstrual bleeding patterns, menstrual periods. The most common side effect of masculine is a change in your normal menstrual bleeding pattern. In studies, out of 10 women, 1 out of 10 women stopped using the implant because of an unfavorable change in their bleeding pattern. You may experience longer or shorter bleeding during periods or have no bleeding at all. The time between periods may vary, and between periods you may also have spotting. Tell your healthcare provider right away if you think you may be pregnant, your menstrual bleeding is heavy and prolonged. Besides changes in menstrual bleeding patterns, other frequent side effects that cause women to stop using implant include mood swings, weight gain, headache, acne, depressed mood. Other common side effects include headache, vaginitis, inflammation of the vagina, weight gain, acne, breast pain, viral infections such as sore throat or flu-like symptoms, stomach pain, painful periods, mood swings, nervousness or depressed mood, back pain, nausea, dizziness, pain at the site of insertion. Implants have been reported to be found in a blood vessel, including a blood vessel in the lung, which can be associated with shortness of breath, cough, and or the coughing up of blood or blood-stained mucus. This is not a complete list of possible side effects. For more information, ask your healthcare provider for advice about any side effects that concern you. You may report side effects to the FDA by 100 FDA 1088. What are the possible risks of using Nexplanon? Problems with insertion and removal. The implant may not be placed in your arm at all due to a failed insertion. If this happens, you may become pregnant immediately after insertion, and with the help from your healthcare provider, you should be able to feel the implant under your skin. If you can't feel the implant, tell your healthcare provider. Location and removal of the implant may be difficult or impossible because the implant is not where it should be. Special procedures including surgery in the hospital may be needed to remove the implant. If the implant is not removed, then the side effects of Nexplanon will continue for a longer period of time. Implants have been found in the pulmonary artery, a blood vessel in the lung. If the implant cannot be found in the arm, your healthcare professional may use X-rays or other imaging methods to the chest. If the implant is located in the chest, surgery may be needed. Other problems related to insertion and removal are pain, irritation, swelling, or bruising at the insertion site, scarring, including a thicker scar called a keloid around the insertion site, infection, scar tissue may form around the implant, making it difficult to remove. The implant may come out by itself. You may become pregnant if the implant comes out by itself. Use a backup birth control method and call your healthcare provider right away if the implant comes out. The need for surgery in the hospital to remove the implant. Injury or injury to nerves or blood vessels in your arm, the implant breaks, making removal difficult. Ectopic pregnancy. If you become pregnant while using Nexplanon, you have a slightly higher chance that the pregnancy will be ectopic, occurring outside the womb. Then do women who do not use birth control. Unusual vaginal bleeding or lower stomach abdominal pain may be a sign of ectopic pregnancy. Ectopic pregnancy is a medical emergency that often requires surgery. Ectopic pregnancies can cause serious internal bleeding, infertility, and even death. Call your healthcare provider right away if you think you're pregnant or have unexplained lower stomach abdominal pain. Ovarian cysts. Cysts may develop on the ovaries and usually go away without treatment. Sometimes surgery is needed to remove them. Breast cancer. It is not known whether Nexplanon changes women's risk for breast cancer. If you have breast cancer now or have had it in the past, do not use Nexplanon because some breast cancers are sensitive to hormones. Serious blood clots. Nexplanon may increase your chance of serious blood clots, especially if you have other risk factors such as smoking. It's possible to die from a problem caused by blood clot, such as heart attack or stroke. Some examples of a serious blood clot are blood clots in the legs, deep vein thrombosis, lungs, pulmonary embolism, brain stroke, heart attack, eyes, total or partial blindness. The risk of serious blood clots is increased in women who smoke. If you smoke and want to use Nexplanon, you should quit. Your healthcare provider may be able to help. Tell your healthcare provider before you support. You're going to have surgery or will need to be on bed rest. You have an increased chance of getting blood clots during surgery or on bed rest. Other risks. A few women whose birth control contains hormones may get high blood pressure, gallbladder problems, rare cancerous or non-cancerous liver tumors. Broken or bent implant. If you feel the implant may have broken or bent while you're on, contact your healthcare provider. When should I call my healthcare provider? Call your healthcare provider right away if you have pain in your lower legs that does not go away. Severe chest pain or heaviness in the chest, sudden shortness of breath, sharp chest pain or coughing, blood symptoms of a severe allergic reaction such as a swollen face, tongue, or throat, trouble breathing or swallowing, sudden severe headache unlike your usual headaches, weakness or numbness in your arm, leg, or trouble speaking, sudden partial or complete blindness. Yellowing of your skin or whites of your eyes, especially with fever, tiredness, loss of appetite, dark colored urine or light colored bowel movements, severe pain, swelling or tenderness in the lower stomach, abdomen, lump in your breast, problems sleeping, lack of energy, tiredness, or you feel very sad, heavy menstrual bleeding. What if I become pregnant while using Nexplanon? You should see your healthcare provider right away if you think you may be pregnant. It is important to remove the implant and make sure that the pregnancy is not ectopic. Occurring outside the womb based on experience with other hormonal contraceptives, Nexplanon is not likely to cause birth defects. Getting Nexplanon when I'm breastfeeding. If you're breastfeeding your child, you may use Nexplanon in 4 weeks that pass since you have had your baby. A small amount of hormone contained in Nexplanon passes into your breast milk. The health of breastfed children whose mothers were using the implant has been studied for up to 3 years of age of small number of children. No effects in the growth and development of the child were seen. If you are breastfeeding and want to use Nexplanon, talk with your healthcare provider for more information. Additional information. This patient brief summary contains important information about Nexplanon. If you would like more information, talk with your healthcare provider. You can ask your healthcare provider for information about Nexplanon. That is written for healthcare professionals. You may also call 1-866-244-7777 or visit www.nexplanon.usa.com. Manufactured by Androgen Receptors. And that's just a brief summary of some of the side effects of birth control.
My life is crazy. I didn't want to take birth control every day. That's why I use Nexplanon. Nexplanon.
So Vanessa's life is so crazy that she wants to just take away her period or make it not such a nuisance so that her crazy life can continue. But why don't we lower the amount of crazy in our lives and allow our bodies to do their natural thing?
As we shared, our culture, our Western culture wants us to be only in our masculine energy. And in our feminine energy, we are resting, we are receiving, we are intuitive, we are flow, we are creative. None of the things that are promoted in this. And this is just stay going, always do. Always do, always action.
You need to be able to keep up with your own crazy life. So you need to just numb out your cycle. And it took 14 minutes to speed read the 3+ pages of side effects, common side effects and risks of synthetic hormonal birth control.
14 minutes to speed read through this book. And the funny thing is, how many multiple times was it? If you want more information, talk to your healthcare provider. Yet we know from personal experience, the discussion with the healthcare provider is, it's no big deal. It's a low dose. It's not what it was. When it was originally created, it's safe. No big deal. So yeah, no big deal. Yet there are 14 minutes of speed read side effects
and risks.
This shit is crazy. We need you to have this information.
And also, how big is just the picture of the beautiful celebrity versus how tiny did they have to fit in all the side effects so that it's so tiny you wouldn't even read it, but you just see a beautiful celebrity telling you it's okay to do it and promoting doing it so that you can not have any inconvenience.
It's incredibly manipulative.
Nexplanon needs more of an explanation.
Here are some real physiological changes you could have from the pill. Some neurological changes from the pill. Neurotransmitters are chemical messengers which affect mood, behavior, memory, reward, pleasure, sleep, appetite, libido, etc. For example, GABA signals a feeling of calm and promotes relaxation. Progesterone increases GABA and therefore promotes calm and prevents anxiety. In addition, progesterone is also neuroprotective, meaning to protect the brain. It protects against things such as glutamate, which is a stimulating neurotransmitter and can lead to damage of cells through a process called excitotoxicity.
And as you learned, when you're on synthetic hormonal birth control, which they all are synthetic, your body stops producing progesterone, so you don't have any of that protection anymore. Progesterone also affects an area of the brain called the amygdala, which is our main emotional processing area. It influences pain, anxiety, and fear. So when you felt crazy on the pill, that's real.
Progestins, the synthetic progesterone in birth control pills, do not possess any of these qualities, leaving the brain vulnerable to excess glutamate, unchecked neuronal damage, and feelings of anxiety and fear.
Now, estrogen. Estrogen increases both serotonin and dopamine. Both of these neurotransmitters impact positive mood, reward, motivation, and emotional well-being. These neurotransmitters help protect against depression. A 2016 JAMA psychiatry study with over 1 million participants found that women who use birth control pills were 23% more likely to receive an antidepressant prescription later in life, and concluded that depression is a potential adverse effect of birth control pill use.
Wow, 23%. Also, a 2017 study reported an alarming association between suicidality and birth control pill use. It found that women between the ages of 15 and 33 who took birth control pills had increased rates of suicide ideation and suicide attempts. Most importantly, adolescents were at greatest risk. So sad.
And so not talked about. On purpose. Estrogen and progesterone increase a messenger called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF. This protects the brain from injury, helps to repair and regenerate the brain. Given that birth control pills prevent the natural production of estrogen and progesterone, they too limit the amount of BDNF in the brain, ultimately reducing the amount of regeneration in the brain. So we're just drugged up and unprotected. So not only does birth control not protect you against STDs, it also leaves your brain unprotected.
And if we knew this information, they would not sell as many of these pills. All the more reason for us to not have known. One of the most concerning findings of birth control pills is the permanent changing to the brain they induce. For instance, a 2015 human brain mapping study looked at brains of women who take birth control pills and reported some troubling findings. They found changes in brain structure in the area that controls sensory input, emotion, learning, and memory. In summary, birth control pills negatively affect a woman's mind, emotions, and learning ability.
The pill you take changes your brain physically. Okay, now let's talk about the hormonal changes from taking the pill. Birth control causes an increase in sex hormone binding globulin and thyroid binding globulin. The job of these proteins is to bind up active testosterone and thyroid hormones, which then make them less bioavailable and therefore active in the body. Even after a woman stops taking birth control, these proteins stay high. This can lead to low thyroid function and symptoms of low testosterone. So in summary, birth control makes your levels of globulin 4 times lower forever. Globulin is what binds to testosterone and affects our libido. So your libido is lower forever.
This is so sad.
It's so sad. And I remember coming off birth control and feeling my libido increase, and it's just sad that it's never gonna increase to the level it was at before birth control. Fuck. Or not fuck.
Elevated TPG can lead to symptoms of an underactive thyroid, known as hypothyroidism, which itself is known to produce depression. Therefore, low thyroid functioning can potentially compound the adverse effect on mood that birth control has. Additionally, elevated SHBG can result in symptoms of low testosterone, such as low libido and sexual dysfunction. I know so many women who suffer from hypothyroidism.
I do too, and depression and low libido. And that is not naturally how women are. Yes, there are some people who are even asexual, but women are creatures of desire. And people, whether you identify as a woman or not, people with a uterus and a menstrual cycle have periods of strong sexual desire.
Women connected to nature, this is not natural.
In recent years, scientists have started to realize that the brains of women on the pill look fundamentally different. Compared to women who aren't taking synthetic hormones, some regions of their brains seem to be more typically male. So taking the pill actually masculinizes your brain.
It's just what the patriarch wants. We're often told that the pill contains estrogen and progesterone, but no pill contains either hormone.
Nope, only synthetics. Though the synthetic hormones in birth control are effective at preventing pregnancy, they aren't perfect matches for our natural hormones, obviously. The end result is that these synthetic versions also have effects on you you would never get from raw progesterone or something natural.
According to a study from 2012, 83% of US women who are on the pill are taking a version that contains progestins made from male hormones. This includes popular brands orthotricycline, Loestrin FE120, and Trisprintek, among many others.
I used to be on Loestrin for years.
I think I was on orthotricycline.
Yeah, it's a super popular one. The male hormone that these pills use is a close relative of testosterone called nandrolone. A potent androgen, a hormone that influences the development of the male reproductive system, it can lead to the development of typically male characteristics.
Wow, yippee! Okay. It's actually also used for doping in men.
These side effects have been known about for decades. The first progestin ever made, norethindrone, was androgenic, meaning an androgen, a male hormone.
Back in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, pregnant women sometimes took norethindrone in large doses to help prevent miscarriage. But the hormone also caused some unsettling changes in their bodies.
The women were sweatier, hairier, and spottier. Some noticed that their voices had deepened. And nearly 1 in 5 baby girls born to the mothers taking it had masculinized genitals. Some of these unlucky children even required surgery.
Today, androgenic progestins are much less androgenic. The doses in contraceptive pills are much smaller, and the hormones are usually combined with synthetic estrogen, which cancels out many of the masculine effects on our bodies.
So it goes unnoticed, but it's still being ingested without us knowing.
We're not having those physical symptoms, but there's still this effect they can see when they do the brain mapping, that our brains are more male under these hormones.
There are androgen receptors all over the body, particularly in the sweat glands and hair follicles, which explains why androgenic progestins can make some women sweatier, hairier, and spottier. But these powerful gender-bending steroids also affect the brain.
In men, the androgens released at puberty are known to remodel the brain. This is also true in women, where relatively small quantities of testosterone can cause certain areas to shrink and others to grow. It turns out that women taking pills with androgenic progestins have lower verbal fluency, the ability to think of new words. They were also better at rotating objects. This makes sense since men are thought to be slightly less articulate than women in certain situations and have better spatial awareness generally.
Other studies have found that women on oral contraception remember emotional stories more like men, recalling the gist more than the details. They're also not as good at recognizing emotions in others, such as anger, sadness, or disgust, just like men. It looks suspiciously like certain types of pills are masculinizing women's brains.
Because they are. And here's a heartbreaking excerpt from an article written by an MD. It's easy to believe that birth control pills are harmless hormonal contraceptives, but the reality is most women are still in the dark about what they are actually ingesting. In fact, they contain no hormones at all.
Only synthetics. One of the main ingredients of birth control pills are toxic endocrine disruptors designed to prevent normal hormone production. And then she says, I've said this many times, but allow me to reiterate, there is no estrogen in the pill. Its main ingredient is ethinyl estradiol, an endocrine disruptor and estrogen's evil twin.
Endocrine disruptors have a similar structure to hormones, but they are simply mimics. Their role is to interfere with the functions of the real hormone. And in the case of estrogen, there is a huge potential for harm, given that estrogen plays a role in nearly every aspect of heart and cardiovascular health. Estrogen is actually a key player in heart function.
Clearly, anything that interferes with the function or production of estrogen creates a huge potential problem. However, the evolution of cardiac dysfunction takes time and allows a disconnect to develop between the use of birth control pills and their long-term cardiovascular injury. So the causes of heart problems aren't always identified, meaning there is a lack of empirical evidence. But it is linked. That's why a lot of times in the side effects it will say may increase the risk of heart attack. They're allowed to get away with that because it's a far disconnect in time in between taking the pill and the side effects, but it is linked to those side effects.
Now that you've heard some of the insane science behind the pill, let's briefly discuss the metaphysical, emotional, and spiritual side effects it can have.
Using the pill as a way to try to control your body. So when I was about 14, I was going on a little getaway to a party where a boy was that I wanted to make out with and hook up with. And I was having a bleed. And a friend told me that if you take 4 of the birth control pack of pills, you could stop your bleed. So because of the shame of bleeding in front of a boy, I did that. And the next morning, I woke up nonstop puking for 2 hours because the synthetic hormones were mimicking morning sickness because I took so many.
Wow.
Yeah. And then he ended up hooking up with another girl anyways.
Well, that was a big mistake.
Yes. Oh, his mistake.
Yeah, his mistake. Yeah. As you know from what we've shared, hormonal birth control pills are a way to control your body to make you more consistent, which is trying to be like a man, watering down your experience of being a woman.
But why water it down? There's a wealth of amazing treasure in being a person with a cycle.
Can we just say it that the female species is more evolved and more powerful?
Yes.
Like, let's just say that.
Yeah.
That's why some scared male people decided to begin to oppress that because it was way more powerful and it was scary to them.
Yep, and it is fucking time to take your power back.
I mean, we have the universe in our body. Like, that's some power. It is time.
So many birth control out there on the market will take away your bleed altogether, and a lot of women fall prey to that because bleeding has been so severely shamed. When actually, I'll tell you from experience, you can get into your bleed.
Mm-hmm.
You can even incorporate it into your sex life. You can incorporate it into your magical practices.
Yeah.
And you can even just incorporate it as a reminder to slow yourself down. But when you take away your bleed altogether, you lose all of that. And birth control is promoted as a way to get rid of the nuisance of bleeding,
Mm-hmm.
which is so sad because bleeding is so powerful.
I can't imagine now not bleeding. I look forward to it and it feels like this magical moment of power.
Totally. And it's also like sexy because it has so much like nutrients and sort of potential in it. Like I've incorporated it into my sex life where we lean into my blood. Like it's a natural lube.
It's so far from nuisance. Taking a pill will numb you out from your feminine superpowers like intuition, which, oh my gosh, our intuition is such a life changer. It'll numb you out from feminine superpowers like vulnerability, connection, inconsistency, creativity, and flow.
Being on birth control lessens your connection with your body and cycle. Those unnatural synthetic hormones, of course, create a synthetic hormonal balance, but that numbs the ebb and flow of your natural rhythm.
This is your cycle naturally, a nice natural rhythm. This is your cycle on the synthetic hormones. Not natural. Not natural. Where's the rhythm? Not connecting with your cycle equals not connecting with your true feminine nature. It numbs us from our true nature and our powerful selves. This is also spoken about in traditional Chinese medicine with our qi.
Lisa Lister says the following about birth control. Senseless to your wisdom and your body, just so that you don't feel pain or inconvenient emotions, to function more normally in the world, i.e. more masculine.
As we shared with the science of this, you'll experience a lower or non-existent libido. Traditional Chinese medicine holds the view that taking the pill leads to two things: deficiency and stagnation.
If you're feeling horrified and maybe inspired to come off the pill, it's possible. We've both done it successfully and have friends who have as well. Take a look at the resources accompanying this video for more support around coming off the pill.
Yikes! Like we said, this is a lot. But better to know what's going on around and in your body than be tricked into this no big deal notion any longer.
This is the patriarchy masquerading as female empowerment, but we know knowledge is the true empowerment. So we're glad to have given you this knowledge today. This is important for not only you, but for every woman you know, because they likely have never been taught any of this. So please share this video and spread this knowledge so that together we can empower more women with the truth about birth control.
On a bright note, as more women come off the pill and turn back on their power, we can all look forward to a healthier, more healed world and future.
Again, not telling you what to do, but quick, flush the drugs!
But actually don't, because we didn't even touch on this, but we don't need any more of that shit in our bodies or our water. Ethanolestradiol. Ethanolestradiol.
I think it's like ethinyl estradiol, but who knows? We're not doctors. All right.
The side effects are due to two synthetic hormones, ethanoestradiol.
Can I take that line?
Yes.
Okay. And the side effects are due to those two synthetic. Wow. Maybe neither of us
I got
are
it.
No, I got it. The natural rhythm of your sight. Wait, let just one of us do it.
All right.